Okay. It does say I'm live, so let's go take a look. For our video to start, because I gotta hit the old mute button. So how's everybody doing? Hope you had a good day. It's about, what, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the United States. And it's time to play on the Origin a little bit again. A few more things to finish up here. A lot of you guys may have been here yesterday while I was trying to get the winch servo mounted up front. I was originally using an IS 800 here, and it was too tall. Sitting up too high made problem with the Knight's motor. Interesting. And was causing interference. So I'm going to try this 179 micro winch, and there was no way to mount it. If I put it spool down, the spool was hitting the mount on for the steering servo. If I put it spool up, the bottom was hitting the servo. Of course, when I had it spooled down, the top was still too tall for the Knight's motor V8 to fit in there. I tried laying it down. It wouldn't go. No room for any articulation. So there's just no way to put a servo up here, with maybe one exception. And I don't have one option that's available, although this is essentially a low profile servo. That's the only option, is getting a low profile servo, but I don't think I'm going to get it. Yeah, it's not going to fit there, because if I try to put it, I was thinking about mounting it from the bottom so it would be lower on the top, but the bottom sticks out a 1/4 inch, and it's going to hit again when the suspension is compressing. It's going to hit everything, be right in the way. So ain't no way it's going to go there. So the only place left to put it is in the back here. Or if you know about the Optic Origin, it's got a servo tray where you can put 3 servos in. I've mounted the Dig Servo back there already, so that's going to be have to be slightly redone. In the way that redone, I'm going to take the center plastic piece out, or just a thin plastic piece on the inside of the servo mount. I'm going to just remove the whole thing, and then I'll turn around and mount the IS 800 on the driver's side. I'll remount the Holmes Hobby mini servo that I have here, the Holmes Hobby HV150 that I'm running the Dig. I'll remount that in the carbon fiber mini mount that I modified yesterday. Mount it into the tray so it will stiffen up its mount. It was being in the center of the tray, it's kind of flexy. So there's a few things we're going to get done this evening. Try to knock these couple things out, and this is pretty much the last stuff that has to be done. I mean, it's pretty much ready to run right now, but there are a few things, extra details, scale stuff I got to get into that I want to get in. So first thing I got to do is we do have to remove bed again. So I got a little extra room to make back there, but I got to take the shocks off mainly. So our bed's got to come off here real quick. Okay. It's going to come off. I'm going to take my rear your shocks. I gotta fold everything up out of the way. These moved. There went. Yeah. Okay. Wow, okay, that's weird. What is stopping it from? What the heck? And the other time that was done, the damn thing would pop right out. What? And say it would pop right out and be out of the way. Why ain't it doing it now? Okay, so first things first, I need to pull this little mini servo out, because the first thing I got to do is get all these little this over here a little more. A little closer for my use. There's one other thing I did. Thought I was going to try to do. I shifted this plate back. Got two bolts that mounts it in place. I took it and slid it front bolt, put a bolt through it, and put it in the back hole, so it's moved backwards about half an inch, give or take a little bit. I thought I was going to try to move it, but I'm not. It's too tight up here. That will allow it to flex a little more, but overall, I don't think it'll be too big of an issue. All right, so let me go ahead. Let's see. Yeah, I'll take you out. There's still one more light somewhere. We're trapped up in here somewhere. Maybe it will come around sooner or later. So next thing I got to do is take the door off. Now I have to unplug that servo so I can get it out of the way. And this is channel 4, channel 4. Come on, girl. And again from there. Okay. Okay, let's get rid of that. Get out of the way. So now I've got to take the center piece out. I'm going to just take it right on out. The whole thing. It's not getting a lot of good support because this is pretty thin plastic in the center here. Okay. Spots a little bit. Now, everything's right. shove this through this way. Damn, that gets right in the way of the, I want to use it there, that gets right in the way. Son of a dog. That puts it right in the way of the sway bar. I do have a sway bar I was going to mount on here. But it's looking like it's not going to go unless I have to go, go a mini servo and mount it all the way towards the front. But which would be the decent way of handling it. But boy, it's going to be kind of tight in there. But of course, it's supposed to go a little farther ahead. Guess if I have to, I could make a support mount that would, use that little spot there that would your sway bar would normally fit into, but not going to fit into on this. So if I do that there, this is going to have to move up front some more. That's not going to work there. So let me pull you out for a few minutes and see what I can maybe do with this. This thing's going to have to come forward. So I can deal with that right there. As long as it stays out of the way of the other things. Close. I might move that a little bit. Like that. Yeah. Hopefully that ain't an issue. Either that or I gotta mount it the other way. That's pushing it up quite a ways. All right, let's try it that way. Goodness, she is a tidy fit in here. Tidy, tidy fit. Getting things exactly how you need it to be. Like that. So if I have it like this. Let's flip back over and take a peek. that screen. Yeah, let's keep it up out of the way. Now it can go there and not really be in the way. I mean, it is slightly, but nothing major. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, that'll work. At least for that. Get these mounted. Get her locked into place. So she's a little flexy back here because I've only got the one screw on each side holding this whole piece in place. So I'll have to add something here a little bit, I think, maybe to add a little bit of stiffness here, just to help snap it into place and keep it there. Okay. That's that. Use a little smaller, shorter screw, but that's all right. They're barely sticking up a smidge. Okay, I'll figure out a place to run that when I'm done. Now let's go ahead and get this mounted back in. See, if I mount this like this, that there. Try to get her somewhere towards the center here, if possible. Okay. There we go. That'll work that way. Okay. So let me get these two screws in here. Ooh. Little cap head, and shorter than that. There it is. Nope, that's the wrong one. Drop it somewhere, probably down here. Right. Easier just to grab a new one. Fairly short. Got one of those slightly shorter cap heads in here. If not, those other ones will work. I know I got a bunch of caps in there. I just don't know if I got one quite that short. Kinda not looking like it. Where'd that one go? Can't be far. Make sure it ain't right out in here. There. Yeah, I know it's not too darn far. There it is. There it is. Okay, now it's got to be right here somewhere. Hey, how you doing, off now? Back at the winch stuff. Got it mounted in the back because it's just not going to work in front, and I ended up going back to the IS 800, as you can tell by the title. There. Get this in there. Now this can mount like this. You gotta come through here. Get up out of there. All right, so now let me take a peek. I do believe take a peek here through my, didn't have to use it on this build box, which is, there's a bit. I think I should still have a pair or 4 Reefs servo mounts. I just gotta find them. There. Might not have them in here. Pretty sure I know. Positive still got 4 left. Pretty sure that came with 12 of those washers in the thing. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe I could have used them in another position, or just only had 8. Possible. I don't see them any in here. I should take a look at that to make sure I didn't drop them in the back of this or something. Sure I didn't put it in here. Okay, not there. Definitely not in that. Okay. Don't have them in here like I thought I did. Maybe I don't have any more. It is possible. I do have one other spot. I can peek to make sure I don't have them in here. I still got the other boxes to dig into. This in here. Okay. So weren't in there. Check the next box. Here, this is the panel box. This few extra spare parts which I won't be using here. Maybe I don't. I might have used them. Good possibility. Okay. That's for the next build when I get there. Get it right. Get it right. Yeah, send it in this. No, set it in there. Set it in this. I must have only had 8. Double check here. Well, I thought there was 12 of those washers in there. I may find them again. I may locate them. In which case, I'll put them on. If there are 4 more, I may be out. No biggie. I'm not overly concerned about it. This can go back here. They don't need them. There. Right. So, we're just going to use some simple buttons. Do I have any of the good short ones here? Not really. That one will work if I got enough of them, but I don't know that I do. I think that's the only one of those I got left. There's 2. Because this thing don't need to be locked in there super hard. Let me double check out a couple of those in here. I wonder if I got 4 of those in here. A couple. Those would bite in nice and hold that thing in there well. I might have a couple more of those in here too. I know I think there's at least one. I think that I might have used it. Yeah. Probably have to dig out those other spare bags. Yeah, I've got 2 in there. 2 good long ones. That'll work. That'll give me the 4 I need. And these are coarse threads, so they'll actually help lock that sucker down a little better. 1 here, 1 there. I've got 3 of them, but now I need 2. Okay. These mounted in here. Each one's on each side, because there are slightly different bolts, but that's okay. I'll stagger. Okay. So that gets the servos mounted. Of course, the one servo was fine, but I just wanted to remount it, give it in a better position. Dang. Okay. Looking at that, I should almost spin that sucker around. Would put it too far that way. That's the most center spot. But I might have to, because I got to get the servo head, the gear head, in the position so it's a little bit better. So I might need to flip that 180. We'll see here in a minute. We'll see here in a minute. Here, let's take a look. So that's all the way forward, right? That's all the way back. Okay. Okay. Lowers that a little bit, gives it a little bit better positioning. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of EPA setting and stuff on this channel and make sure it's in the right spot. Let's see. I may as well just trim that straight out. Okay, gotta clean that up. Now, where to run these? Okay. Actually, that's a bad spot for that. A better spot is kind of like I just had it before. Come through here, and we will get our cable straight first and lay it flat. Little sucker, get out of here. Really? Okay, let's see what we can do with this one. It's the same thing. Okay. So that puts all that back into place. Now, I really need to probably work this into place here now at this point. See what we can do. See where I can sneak this through here. That don't belong in there. Where's that from? All right, let me see these. Rolled it up out of the way. Oh, that's what that is. In that piece, okay. That'll work fine. So. Here now, back side. It should be going better here. More room. Kind of hole right there if I can get it in there. Just getting it to go through the right spot. Okay, this can actually be a screw with a clamp or something right there that'll lock it in to that side. But this side's got to go differently, so I got to move it back so it's in the spot and bring it forward where I want it. Okay. Okay. So I can run it like that. So I just need to lock it into a couple places here, a screw here and there, just so it's mounted down into the right spot. Rerun this just a little bit, trim her down to size, and then get my cable through there. Okay, that'll work. Do a little tidy up on it sooner or later. Okay. Okay. See, if I'm going to move that to the top, yeah, I might. If I move that winch servo to the top, then there's room for the bar for the sway bar. So if I need the sway bar, that's what I'll end up doing. Just moving that stuff just a little bit, and actually that works out because that actually forces that battery to send a little bit more center and a little bit more forward, which actually works a little better. Okay, live with that. So I'm gonna have to redo my shocks here. That one ain't even pushing up. What's up with that? Leaking, losing the water or oil, but I don't see any wet spots, so we'll deal with that later. So that puts that all back into place. Number 3, number 4. Yeah, that one's got to come out once. And it's going to be too much there. Excuse me. It's up there enough. Enough cable so it would get where it needed to be. All right, I got to take a quick break. I'll be back in about 5. All right, now, goodness, let's take a peek. You into channel 4. And you gotta go in there like that. Actually, channel 5. Go. It's plugged in. The only thing I really got to do now is get my tube straightened out. Wires here aren't too pinched or too tight. So I got enough little slop around. Yep, that's good. Not getting in the way of anything there, right? No, it looked good. Okay. Installed. Yeah, is right in the way. Let me try. See if I can move it right now and be done with it. It should be pretty easy to wiggle around here. Get her mounted from the top. We'll see. Okay. Go ahead and try to slide that servo around, get her on top of the mount. Oh yeah, that'll move easy enough. That's gonna be a little trick, but not bad. We can fix that. Getting the front 2 screws in there will be a little bit sneaky, but doable. Just have to do a little trick to make it happen. Oh, that's right. These are the other one. Okay, 3. Okay. There we go. That'll work. I should have done this in the beginning. Put it up top. It don't matter that much. So I'll be able to spool that wire, that line below. And if I actually take that, damn, I could probably do that with that piece, because that's got to be changed. And that would actually add my support. So let me see. One. Let's see. Because I think this will spin around 180 in these two spots here with the screws will actually maybe even line up with where those bolts go, and just longer bolt and be able to make that whole thing, lock that back side of it up with this piece, because that's pretty much right there, just like that. And once I spin it 180 degrees, it'll have the right orientation. I should be able to lock it all together, and that'll really stiffen up that back plate. Consider I've moved it back. There's only one bolt mounting each side of the chassis. Okay. Yepper, it will. Whether it'll actually get in there and hold it nice and tight, I don't know, but it can definitely potentially work. At least a little bit. Help hold it up in place. At least one of them so it ain't flopping around. Okay. Well, hold it up somewhat. Not perfectly great, but good enough. All right. That is 7 channels. I still just got to plug in the little other servo there. This can actually go into place. But I do have to wire up that other side. Okay, get this tucked in there. So I'm gonna have to do a little work to channel 3, but I'm gonna wait. I think I'm gonna buy a yeah, am I? Oh yeah, I knocked her out pretty good, didn't I? I didn't even look up there. Good call, thank you. Yeah, I'm not watching the camera, I'm watching the rig and looking at the chat. Okay. Just put the bar back on if you couldn't tell what exactly I was doing. So that puts the servos in place. Puts the light bar back on. Those will work. Servo for the work. Winch is mounted back. Works out for me. I would have liked it up front just to have that weight bias up front, but I'll probably end up putting on a set of brass knuckles at some point. Maybe something else. I got brass rings, brass hubs up front. I don't know that I'll need brass knuckles. It's still heavier in front than it is in back. I got my corner scales, but I won't weigh it right now. But yeah, it's a little heavier in front than it is in back at the moment. I'd like to make it a little bit more, try to get to that 60-63% front weight biased. That seems to work a little bit better for the most part for general crawling, trailing, things like that. Comping even, you want to be in that 60-65% at the best. You don't want it super light in the back. You need some weight back there. But I don't think I'll be comping with this. I'm not saying I won't be, but chances are slim that I will be. So I want to push this wire around a little bit, try to organize it a smidge here. See if I can get those in there a little bit better, just to be able to push down on that side. Try to form it just a little bit more here. And that's good. Just to hide those couple wires a little bit. Now, so what I'll end up doing here, so you guys get an idea, I'm going to go ahead and bounce it down and kind of square it a little bit, is channel 3 is my drag brake adjustment for the drag brake setting. There's only a single wire in it. It's simply a signal wire, which leaves the hot and cold side empty, obviously. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to buy a set of cable clamp systems with all the pins and stuff. And then I'll put the drag brake wire in a single pin holder. And then I'll take the hot and cold on this. This is for this light here, this bar light, and I'll pin those into a double pin holder and slide that into the hot and cold, and I'll just steal the power off channel 3 for that light, and that's the only light I'll have to manually operate. It'll come on and off, but I gotta at least at the bare minimum, if I wire it with a splitter, I gotta pull the signal wire out of it because I don't want to control it. I just by the radio. I mean, I wouldn't mind, but I really don't have another channel. I guess I kind of do. I could put it in this splitter and split it off channel 6, which is the headlights. Or actually, no, I'd want to split it off channel 7 because this is going to be mostly for, rock lights. When you need to put some good light up front to see what you're doing at night, that's what that's going to be for. Is that particular fun? Oh shoot, I forgot to put my motor up there. All right, I'll have to do that. I'll do that later. There are a couple of things I'd like to do to this. Touch it up a little bit more, add a few more details, maybe add chrome to that, or maybe paint these orange instead. Possibly, do something like that here. Just kind of one side orange, one side black. I don't know, something a little bit different to add a little color. Not that you'll see it until the hood's off, and the only time I'll have the hood off is my battery will likely set up underneath there. Maybe not. Maybe I can get the battery with everything else, and I'll be able to tuck it up in there and make it fit. We'll see. But yeah, that works out well. That works out pretty good. That kind of gives this a nice look. This around. She is getting there pretty good. All right. Position this thing a little bit better. All right, I guess I can set just about like that then. Isn't it quite sitting square? What's stopping it? Hold the seat or what? There. So, yeah, that fits right there. Good enough. Kind of snaps into place, but a little out of center, but that's all right. I'm okay with that. Yeah, there's that little top of that seat right there. Push that little fucker in so it's past it. There we go. That's just pushing it out. Actually, it's that little piece of seat. So there. That's what that fits a lot better. Yeah, that's better. Balance sitting right back there on that floorboard where it should be. Let's see this. Let's see if I can just get these things pushed down a little bit. A little bit better out of my way. That'll work for that. Now all I gotta do is redo. Yeah, no problem. Okay. I haven't heard nothing about that, no, but what I have heard about is some of the tariff issues. Some companies, because of the tariff issues, have really limited their amount of shipping between Canada and States because of the tariffs, kind of the back and forth what's going on. So I've heard similar to it, but not that they're not shipping, just that a lot of companies won't do it because the tariffs are pretty stiff, and if they can't recover the costs from either the person who shipped or the receiver, then they're going to be on the bill for the tariffs in either the United States or Canada. So I believe that's mostly what's going on. Of course, that's going to flake around a little bit, but there's, obviously what's going on with Iowa and British Columbia. Yeah, things up there are not kosher right now either. So it's kind of interesting. I know there's companies that do. I know things go in and out of Canada. I bought an item that shipped out of China about 3 weeks ago, and it actually went from LA to Canada into Michigan. But it was a rollover. They landed in Canada, and that was the holdover flight. So it's not like they went to Canada and dropped stuff off. They just landed, I believe, in Toronto, and then the stuff came over the bridge, or they flew over from there. So yeah, I haven't heard much about not shipping things, but I have heard quite a bit about not getting items because the shippers are going to be on the dole for those tariffs. And as things move on, I suspect those will get much better. The whole issue with tariffs and everything else, it'll get better. We won't have too many long-term issues, but there'll be some. See, I'm kind of a political buff, so I pay attention to a lot of that stuff. I'm one of the few people in RC who disagrees that we shouldn't be talking politics and religion, even at RC stuff. Politics are part of everyday life because they're in your life, whether you want to be or not. Everything we do has the government's hand in it. So to say politics doesn't have anything to do with RC, well, the tariff issue that we're all, seeing happen here is a perfect example of that's crap. Total crap, because we absolutely have government political stuff going on in the RC world, which is why we got to pay attention, or else we're going to get steamrolled by the commies that are trying to take over, and they've been doing a fairly okay job for a while. As in taking over, I'm not fond of it. I don't like it, but they've been getting seats of power all over the place. So, come on. There it is. There it finally went. Get that spot. A little tricky to get to here. Okay, didn't either go. Come on, damn you, get in there. Something's up with that shock. Little tweaking on everything. Okay. Now, basically, that works for that. I get my tube clamped down, put into place so everything's where it needs to be and it's not going to be, in the way of anything. Probably push this in here and do a little shoe glue or E6000 and lock that down in there so it stays out of the way. Bring this up here, put a screw and a small clamp in it just to lock it down right here, and then turn around and get my line through it. All right, that pretty much puts that back into place. We are good for that. But yeah, as far as I am aware, the shipping issue between the US and Canada is tariff collection related. Like I say it's coming in the UPS or DHL. They're going to be on the hook for the tariffs. Let's say you refuse to take it, but the company refuses to take it back. They ship something in that they're going to be on the hook for the tariff. So I can kind of understand why some of them are doing that. And it's kind of swapping every couple weeks, depending on who says what up in Canada and how that's taken here in the United States. So a little different, but overall, I don't think it's going to be lasting much past the end of the year. I think by that time, things will be pretty solidified and we'll be back to pretty much business as usual at that point. So I guess I really don't want to do it right now. I've used these before and I've lost the damn cap and the nut stayed. And sometimes they tend to loosen up. And I really don't have a lot of, probably get it on there a little bit, but it's going to stick out quite far. But I guess it wouldn't be too bad. Just got some Mickey Thompson center caps. I wouldn't mind putting it on there. I mean, I could be completely wrong about the shipping thing, but as far as I understand, that's, I think, what it is. I haven't heard too much past that. You know, just tariff-related issues as far as that goes. So, now I don't know if JB's listening, or I don't think you got one either, Often Guy. But anybody that is listening now or catches this within the next month or so, it appears Spectrum has released a firmware update for the Promoto's ESCs and the receivers. It kind of does both the receiver for the Promoto, I think, because it says something about tweaking the gyro system, which that would be the one that would be tweaked with software, improving the ability of it as well as improving the gyro function through the AV6 system, getting a little bit longer runtime, a little bit more efficient out of the batteries, and ability to turn up your, I think this is in there, but I think they tweaked it a little bit to adjust the amount of rear brake strength. I believe it used to be limited at 67% or 67.5% for rear brake strength on the motor. I think you can turn it up to 75 or maybe even 100%. So you can lock the rear end right up with the motor, I guess. So we'll see. But there is a firmware upgrade for the Promotos, both SM and MX. So hopefully when they tweak, they tweak the software one more time and actually give you a dirt track race software. I mean, you got a oval track or street track software with the street mode, which keeps the front end down. The dirt mode works really good, but you can almost push too much power out and hit, grab the gas, and if you pin it and you get traction, it just flips the whole bike, wheelies right up and slams it right on the driver's head. I mean, he gets just plowed. All right, so good for the night. What I wanted to do is get my servos taken care of, get this winch stuff. So the build part of the unit is done, and all I really need to do now is sit here and try to get it set up with any other scale details I want to add. So I've got the dash, I've got the shifters, the shift levers. I got to redo that one. I do want to redo that. Dash lights. The one shift lever moves. Steering wheel moves. I got to tweak that a little bit. I think I'm going to buy a better, just a cheapy, crap little Amazon digital servo. Mini servo. I think I've got one actually in my cart. It's like 15 bucks. It will take 8.4 volts. And I'm going to mount that into the steering wheel, because the steering wheel just got one of those Bluebird servos, which only takes like 6 volts. And it will burn out quick. So I want to mount that other one in there and get a better quality servo in there so I can run everything at 8.4 volts, get most of the juice to the, all the power to the Reefs servo. The steering servo is direct power, so that'll be running on either 3S or 4S, depending on which battery pack I have in here. So yeah, that's what's going to go on with that. But otherwise, pretty much good to go. Get that winch line. I gotta put longer winch line, so I think when I do this, I'll turn around and work out, put some longer winch line on there, because I'm gonna, the first foot, basically 10 inches, is going to be 8 up inside the hose, and these are 3 foot long, so I'll only get 2 foot. So if I think I'm gonna put, and I got room on the inside of the spool, I could probably put 7-8 foot of line on there. So that's probably what I'll do. And I think what I'm going to do is actually buy some fishing leader, some steel reinforced fishing cable. Flexible, doesn't, have a big issue, strong, tight, does pretty well. So I think that's what I'm going to do with that. Yeah, some people, I mean, I was like that. I was kind of like that for the most part. When I got from a kid back in the late 70s, very early 80s, I started playing bass guitar in 1980, 1982, late 81, I started playing out with the band I was with. So I started playing bass at about 13, 12 and a half, 13. And then started playing out at 15. So I was making more money in one weekend than all my buddies were. But that took me out of RC. That's why I went there. I was doing RC, and bass guitar was a lot easier to find girls than RC was. So at 13, 14, women were the thing. They're into that purview time. So I started playing bass, got out of RC. Got back into RC around 2000, 2001, 99, something like that. And now it's much the same, because I remember what the old RCs were like with electric. They just, 3 minutes of fun, 8 minutes, 7 minutes of trying to kill a battery. And that just isn't fun. I was a nitro guy back in the day, so I ran a lot of nitro stuff, T-Max. I did have one E-Max that was electric. And that wasn't bad, because you could double up the batteries and get 6-7 minutes of playtime out of it before the batteries were starting to pop down, because that was still NIMH times in 2000, early 2000. Then I got out again around 2004, got really busy with work, sold everything. Then the Baja, HPI Baja, was released around 2007, 2008, and that sucked me back in. Got back out around 2012, pretty much sold almost everything, and I had been out until COVID hit. And when I was sent home and given unemployment and told don't go anywhere and don't do nothing with unemployment, I ended up go ahead and getting back into RC. I should have done other things. Should have took that money and paid off the rest of the house. I could have, but I'm too busy having fun and enjoying life and doing other things. So it is what it is. But yeah, so up until I got back in 2020, 2021, when I bought the Red Cat X, Gen 8 X, I bought that so I could turn around and get playing. Damn, smoking too many cigarettes now. Because I was stuck home and couldn't go nowhere, so we built a crawler course and did a few other things. Me and my neighbor and a bunch of us guys got back into RC, and I've stuck back into RC since then for the most part. Work changed, so I wasn't gone all week. I found work locally and was decent with the pay, and of course that's done now. I got to find a new job, but that's what that was. So yeah, I wasn't much of an electric guy, but I got to admit, LiPo batteries have really changed the game for playing with RC. They ain't crap. They ain't gonna be crap for trying to run automobiles. I know Tesla's doing good. Elon, oh yeah. In RC, you charge for 45 minutes to play for 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes. So you're twice as long at the charging station as you are behind the wheel, shall we say. And that transfers over to real one-to-one cars. Same thing. Charging's getting better, but let's face it, in the RC world, we know how volatile LiPo or LiPoly type batteries can be, whether it's lithium ion or lithium polymer, LiPo or Li-ion, or any of the other ones. Lithiums can be fairly dangerous. Look at all these bus fires on these electric buses and all. Yeah, we got a ways to go. If we're going to rely on the sun to turn around and give us electricity, as Nikola Tesla had really worked towards, we got to get past all this shit, because, ideally, Nikola Tesla was absolutely correct. We should be able to pull electricity straight out of the atmosphere with no meter and no bill. Although could create other problems globally. But we're surrounded with electricity. The universe is created from electricity. If you go that route, I don't buy into much of what we call mainstream science on how the universe actually works, because it's just not. Oh, that's what I see flopping, this little cover. There we go. Not what it is. So yeah, I had two Bajas. Both of them had ESP Turtle Racing combo motors in them. I had one that had a 30.5 full port ESP motor, and then my other one, I had a Baja that I turned into a Hooters Baja. Hooters, the restaurant. So it was all orange and white, had a nice body, Baja body painted up for it. And that one had a 26cc reed case motor. ESP and Turtle Racing had worked together and developed a reed case for the motors, and I had Doug over at ESP build one of those. That motor was brutal. Only 26cc, but it was on the dyno. It popped out 6.5 horsepower. I believe it was at 15,800 RPM. It would top out. RPM top out was just over 20,000 on it. And it was giving 4.6, 4.8 something foot-pounds of torque at around 14,000 RPM still. So, I mean, it was a hell of a motor. My Hooters Baja weighed approximately 40 pounds. I had the FLM wide arms on, aluminum arms, and just everything, all loaded up. Too much money into it. But that damn thing, even at 38, 42, 43 pounds, I think the original Bajas are like 38 pounds. So this was just over 40, because I did have a little bit more aluminum on it and stuff, and the reed case motor, which is heavier. But that damn thing, I had it going like 54 miles an hour across the sand at Silver Lake Sand Dunes. It just screamed. That thing would just fly. But yeah, back then I wasn't much into electric. I had nitros and the gasser. I had a couple gassers actually. I had a Duratrax Marvin Mar can't quite remember the name. Duratrax. It's got a buggy type stuff. I had one of those. I had two Berganzanis, the Italian motors, which came with reed case motors. They were actually barred from racing in the European competition because the reed case motors just kicked everybody else's ass, and everybody else was using just piston port motors. So they weren't allowed to run except in Italy. But I had two of those. And there was something else. I remember I had one other thing, gasser, older. It wasn't an FG or any of those. I don't quite remember. I never, didn't get any of the Red Cats. I was using higher end brand stuff, HPI, Berganzani, FG. It might have been, I think I had an FG for a little bit that I ended up getting rid of. These were mostly on roads except for my Bajas, which were off road. I didn't have any of the trucks or anything. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. The gassers are great because, I mean, hell, you're talking fill it up and you're running 40, 50 minutes an hour. You tend to be getting bored before you're out of a gas tank. So that was really nice because you didn't have to stop every 5 minutes and recharge batteries or refill the nitro tank and fight with the nitro motor to get it to start and run because they got to be a pain in the ass. That they did. All right, let's see. Probably 2 hours again? Started raining 2 hours ago. Seems to be my standard, 2 hours. Get going, and by the time I'm done, it's been 2 hours past, but that's all right. So been thinking about doing something because I'm not working. I need to come up with some money. I did the dash on this, and I've gotten a lot of compliments. Even had a couple people say, "Hey, could you make one?" And I think I'm going to go ahead and hit them up and do what I can do. My one buddy thinks I'll be able to, actually pull some pretty good money, especially if I go a little farther with it, clean it up, do a little bit more to kind of give it that nice finished detail look. I think I'll be able to do, I can make one of these things up in probably a day, maybe 2 days. Nice. That ain't too bad. Yeah, I do like the vintage stuff too. Especially when it comes like your, higher end, better grades. I was never a RC racer, so I'm not into the buggies and the truggies, and doing backflips or that kind of stuff with the monster trucks. And it's not my thing. I'd probably be all right with the monster truck and stuff like that, doing some of that stuff, but kind of okay with it. But yeah, like the gassers and things like that on road, that would be fun. But the only closest place for me to go on road racing is down in Ohio. Besides just running parking lot stuff, so it's not real practical because everybody runs jelly. Hear that big old unit with that dirt bike, tuned pipe on it, and yeah, they tend to bitch a little bit about it. All right, I think I'm gonna go ahead and kill her off. She's 12:14. I'm gonna try to get to sleep here at a slightly normal time tonight. Been fighting insomnia the last couple weeks, so I've not been sleeping really well. Up late, up early, and then napping throughout the afternoon, which don't help me staying up late. So, but I did end up, took a little nap this afternoon for about 45 minutes. My back was killing me, so I had to kind of take the pressure off, and I nodded off for a little bit. So that's me. I'm going to be up for a little bit, not too much more. But anyways, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it. Often. We'll talk to you later. I think if I can get even $100 because it'd be worth it. I mean, it would take, I'd have, 10 hours, probably maybe 20 hours, give or take a little bit. I don't think I'd have 20. I could build the frame for the dash. I could probably get those done in an hour. And then, yeah, 6 to 12 hours to turn around and make the rest of the stuff, the dash, solder lights together, get them all set up, resistors and all that stuff. So it's all they got to do is a little shoe glue or whatever and push it into the dash, and there it is, and plug it in, and they'll have a wired dash. So yeah, I think I might do that. Start playing with that idea a little bit and seeing if I could sell a couple. With as many people that have Origins, they're up to like number 400, and then the amount of optics that are out there, I should be able to sell quite a few of them, I think, from simple to intricate, vary amount. But appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate you too, Often. I appreciate you hanging around, man. Yeah, I already got the patterns. I got little cardboard templates made up for the stuff. As I cut it out, I might have to adjust it a little bit. So I've got most of the templates, at least for the dash. Everything else was just kind of spot put, so that was easy enough to do. I'd have to come up with some. Well, I guess I could set them up, and they could put their own stickers on for their dash stickers. Cut out the stuff, or I could maybe get a hold of Vanquish or somebody and try to print up gauges that I could stick on top of the gauges, so when they light up you can see the gauge behind it. This dash is lit up. It does look really good. I mean, it looks really good. It looks really bright on the camera, but it's not that bad in person. I'll probably turn around and dump a little bit more resistor into it to dim it out a little bit more. But yeah, I think I will. I think you're right, Often. I think that's a good way to go, and put a little bit of change in my pocket, because I got bills I still gotta pay. I'm not independently wealthy. Ain't got no Bitcoin. Well, as far as I might have some, but I gotta go through some old hard drives and dig out and see. I might get lucky. That would be nice, because then I could retire and not have to worry about it. But anyways, you guys have a good one. Anybody else that's out there, Often Guy, thanks for hanging out. We will chat at you guys all on the next one. I'll probably have one of these going tomorrow. I really don't have much left to do with this, except for like a few things I mentioned. And I'll probably, I don't know, I've got a set of VP axles for the Rift. I might throw those together. But anyways, we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for hanging. Have a good night. Oh yeah, hit that like, subscribe, and if you can, hit that share button. Appreciate it. I'm trying to get over those humps to maybe get a little monetization going on this channel. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Bye.